Welcome, one and all. I am Lex.
I'm Hazen Fields II.
And I'm Trey. How y'all doing, interwebs?
And this is Various Fields.
Woo! Various Fields.
And guys, I am very, 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 very excited because as they all know, as we all know, I am a nerd. We're all nerds. And we have something very exciting because James Gunn, a couple of weeks ago, released his Superman trailer.
Absolutely.
I'm excited because for a long time, we've had the whole, at least people on the interwebs have the whole Superman is boring debate, or maybe people think he's not cool enough, or he sometimes with the Zack Snyder, that was one of the previous Justice League.
Right.
Superman,
All right.
he was too serious and people try to make him all that kind of stuff. James Gunn seems to have captured a lot of what makes Superman.
Okay.
And I'm really excited. The colors, how bright it is, et cetera, et cetera. We have the trailer right up here. We're all going to watch it together.
Oh.
But I want to get straight into it. I'm a nerd. I've seen it already, but I want to introduce you guys to it.
Okay.
You guys tell me what you guys think and all that jazz.
All right.
All right. Let's watch it.
All right. I'm excited. Okay, Google, play Superman official teaser trailer. That is bad timing.
Yeah.
Just stopped. Where's the first stop? We need to cut. We might need to cut.
Want to try it again?
There we go. Open that up again. Hey, perfect. Cool. Daily Planet looks great. Soundtrack.
I like that. Oh,
It's crypto. It's cool.
okay.
It's a bad idea.
Guy.
What guy? That's insane that they got him in here.
Interesting.
Wow. Perfect.
Very nice.
All right.
Wow.
That's pretty exciting.
I will. Okay, so yeah, there was a lot going into that theater. I mean, I liked it. Okay, so we had Crypto, we had Crypto, we had Mr. Terrific, we had Guy Gardner as Hawk Girl. We had who else do we had in there? We had a very interesting cast for Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on. And was that that wasn't Brainiac? That wasn't Metallo, was it? With the robot?
That looks like I think people are saying it's oh my god, what's his name? Absorbman. Oh my god, the dude that. He's not Parasite. You've seen him before in Justice League. He's usually multicolored, multi-planet, orange, purple.
Oh, you mean
yeah.
Oh man, Metamorpho?
Metamorpho. Yes, that's what those Metamorpho.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
That's what people are thinking. It could be, obviously.
Is that the person that he was fighting, you mean?
There are a couple people that were shown because looks like there's a lot happening in that trailer. I don't know who. There's someone who was trying to tackle Superman on a football field. I don't know who that was. That's a bad idea. Right. But that you're talking about the shot of the dude that had looked
like dark gray.
Yeah, dark gray. I think that's
yeah.
supposed to be Metamorpho. You see the giant thing that looked like an eyeball kind of shooting lasers in the background. People are thinking that might be Brainiac. I don't know. So we have a couple people who could be villains, but obviously Lex Luthor is there.
Wow,
I don't know. We don't know.
There is a lot going on in that film. All right, so I'm very excited because it seems like a complete departure from everything we have from Superman films so far, right? Like everything seems to either stay with one villain.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like, right? And it seems to be a lot brighter than all the other films that we've had in the past. Like I think, what was the first Superman 1, 2, and 3? Christopher Reeves, right? It seemed to be kind of mute toned, right? In terms of filming it, there was some brightness to it, but I guess just because it was more I guess
the Christopher Reeves Superman is one of the more accurate, bright, kind of hopeful Superman.
Very bright. I don't know. I see them now. Maybe it's because it's muted color compared to now digitally colored, but it's just
that Christopher Reeves Superman is that Superman everyone is trying to do better than.
I don't disagree. I mean, that was his soundtrack. That was James Gunn.
No, that's true. That's true enough.
He's doing this paying homage to that Superman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Christopher Reeves embodied that which was Superman.
Are you thinking Man of Steel? Not Man of Steel, Superman Returns.
Superman Returns might be, but that was
Superman Returns is the one that seems more muted, and Zack Snyder's.
But that was on purpose. They made it a darker Superman at that point.
Okay,
Man of Steel,
fantastic.
And Christopher and Superman Returns seems darker, kind of more muted. But I'm talking about the classic Superman.
Yep.
Which is also you can tell this is a classic Superman they're leaning in because you know what they brought back that no one thought they'd bring back. He's wearing the underwear on the outside again.
Yeah.
That's classic Supes. I'm saying they got rid of it, and that's classic Supes.
That's true.
And that's hard to make it cool. And it's not. Well, I honestly think that's impressive because for a while that was the thing. They'd be like, who would do that? Why would we make underwear outside? But the whole time you watch the show, you don't know. You don't care.
Right. That's all we all saw when I was a kid growing up. Yeah. That Superman was the outside underwear. Superman was always there.
Right.
It
looks great.
Because what would be the
costume a little better? Yeah.
Underoos. That was the whole thing. If you wore underoos, that was what you saw.
I mean, there's also in the comics the whole. I'm not sure if it's a joke because it's canon, but also the joke is that Superman made this suit for. I mean, Superman's mom made his suit. But that's the actual thing. In the comics, they made a thing. Superman's mom made his
suit. It's so interesting. Would you agree that there are different lores?
Oh, absolutely.
As the character evolves, we try to make him more relevant, I guess. And with that, you try to put more, for example, the S meaning hope, right? I never heard about that except for
as far as I know, that was a Snyder.
That was in Snyder, right? So before then, I thought it only meant Superman, right?
No.
Well,
I knew what it was supposed to be. The House of El.
Or the House of El.
That's true enough.
That was the symbol. It was his, what's the word? It's not a symbol. Sigil for the house. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, exactly. All right. So question. Why? Why are we interested in Superman? Why does Superman seem to tickle the fancy of people who say, yeah, that's right. I'm a brother, and I said tickle the fancy. What's the problem with that?
Weird switch up.
That was
sorry.
wild.
Every once in a while, I sometimes hear myself speak.
And if you like your fancy being tickled, please like and subscribe, hit all the buttons, and continue watching Various Fields.
Well done. Very done.
You saved it. Very done.
I'll take it.
Wow. I had to be saved? All right, we'll go on.
No, I would. So I think, actually, it's funny enough, there was a comment that someone made a while ago where I think one of the biggest things is people argue Superman being boring. Some people just don't like some people don't like the whole Boy Scout thing because he's almost too good of a person. He wants to help everybody. He's very nice all the time. And some people think that's not realistic in terms of character that which I disagree with. But also, I would say he's a hard character to get correctly because he's so strong. So it's very hard to give Superman believable opposition. It's very hard to give Superman a thing where it's all right, what is he actually fighting? And if you make him darker, I think a lot of people think, oh, wait, what he's fighting, you have to make the enemy stronger. You have to make but that's not what Superman's fighting. He's fighting, to me, him trying to be human. He's fighting having as much power as he is and still like operating in our world and being a good person. Right. So him being a brighter hope, him feeling nerdier, him being corny is something that I think makes Superman special. And the comment I was going to say earlier is that people get iconic confused with, I think, boring. Because Superman to me is the superhero. Like he's iconic. Like he's like the dude that is paved the way for like at least the idea of like American superhero. Maybe before like a Zorro figure. I mean, after a Zorro figure, something like that. Okay. So sometimes if you don't know Superman, or if you're like more of like quote unquote modern in our age, and you see other Superman comparisons, or Omni-Man, he's a character, Homelander, which is from The Boys, things like that. They're copies of him.
Indeed.
But so people are so used to superheroes flying, superheroes with capes, like that was all Superman's thing. So he's iconic, and I think I can see how people get confused iconic with what seems like the everyday. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah. Like I can understand the argument, but I feel as if like in terms of getting those two confused, like Spider-Man, for example, I think he's fairly iconic now, right? But he's not boring at all, right? I think
I'm not saying neither of them are boring,
right? But I'm saying more specifically for the Superman case, because I was never a huge fan of Superman. I love the ideal of Superman, right? And I think like when it comes down to superheroes, anyone striving towards that ideal has been worthy of note, but Superman always missed the mark because he was that benchmark. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think the issue with Superman, since the beginning of his creation, he's always been the answer to the problem, without there being a problem. All right? Like we already have Clark Kent, which is kind of like the meek underside of Superman, right? And a lot of people say, like, oh, he's hiding all that power within this. So no one will ever suspect Clark Kent for doing anything beyond the average every day, right? But Superman, right, whether it was in the 1940s animations or in the comic books themselves, there was always an answer to it. Yeah, there might be a slight struggle with a death ray or something like that, right? But you would always see him push back with it, like, oh, I just had to try harder, as opposed to like Spider-Man, when it like one iconic thing in the comic books, or when you see him struggle, was when he was fighting Doc Ock in this underwater base, and then all these beams kind of fall underneath him, right? And then you realize, oh my gosh, these beams are heavier than what Spider-Man is supposed to lift. He might have broke a little bit of what was known to his character by being able to lift all of those, right? But there was like existential crisis that he was going through, right, beforehand, right? So I think with Superman, I appreciate them showing, I guess, more of a homebody to him, like him more connected to Earth, right? So,
well, let me ask you a question. This is for me. Do you find it that it takes away from the Superman franchise or the movies when they try to make him too real? And I'll give you an example why. I don't like in my comic days, when Superman, if a building was falling down,
oh, I see what you're talking about.
Superman would fly up, push to the top of the building, push the building up. The building in and of itself would just go back up. And then he would use his ray to seal it. I was happy with that. I liked that. I didn't like when they started bringing scientists in and saying, well, if in fact he was supposed to touch that,
structural engineers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was so disappointed. What was the there was a Superman where I first saw it, where he was stopping an airplane or something like that.
But then the reality, not the Christopher.
I don't know what it was, but
Superman Returns.
But what was happening was, because of the inertia of the plane falling, his body was like kind of bending. See, but when I was a kid, when he would just and he would just and I like that.
Right.
Can I give a real answer to the
Go ahead, yeah, please.
Especially with film or any portrayal. I like when they can answer things that feel real, physics, all that type as accurately as possible, while still making the superhero seem like a superhero.
Right.
So that being said, it's like, yes, there's physics because the dude can fly. So like we can
throw that out the window.
We can throw some stuff out. No, we can throw some stuff out the window. But I am saying one of my favorite things are like showing details, especially like in any form of like fight choreography, right? Fighting choreography. One of my favorite things is, this is going to be a little bit of departure, but a couple of things that stand out is in Captain America's Winter Soldier, there is a fight scene when Captain America's fighting the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, and like they're on, I'm not sure if you guys remember the kind of like the highway, like they're on the road scene, and then like they're just kind of trading punches. And there's a point where Winter Soldier drops the knife because Captain America blocks it, and then catches it again and goes back up. And it's just a very good small detail of like really cool choreographed fighting, right? And like you could argue you don't need that, but like small details, small things make things look super cool. So Superman's catching a plane. I don't mind the plane bending, but what I want to see is Superman adjust to the plane bending and then still lift it in a way that only Superman could. Because then it's less like, oh man, he's just that strong, but also shows how aware he is of his own power. It shows how aware, how careful he is in all the small details. And I don't need a whole like breakdown in the movie to show how accurate it is.
Yeah, tension points in the airplane and stuff like that. I get you.
They did that with another thing with Spider-Man. Like he like jumps around saving some people, but jumps from building to building, and like he almost didn't catch someone, but then he uses a web. And it's just like, I like showing the characters' attention to detail. So it doesn't need to be real, but it does. I do like someone going above and beyond to be like, if you really care, that's super cool.
Right. See, I understand. But speaking of Spider-Man, see, I was satisfied, and I'm still very satisfied. My 1960s Spider-Man would shoot his web and swing, whether it was a building or not, whether it was direction. We just assume it was.
I get that. It takes away.
Like, there is some fantasy to it, and we absolutely love. But like, I don't think there I don't like. It doesn't have to be so real, but I do, like you said, I love those attention to details and make it even seem more exciting to have like, for example, like in the Spider-Man video game, right? When he was going through the whole issue of webbing up the crane that was falling down, right? We saw like he was webbing up at multiple points and how he had to like kind of like hustle to make sure that it stayed like suspended before it hit the ground. So I like that. Like it was like a whole bunch of science into it, right? When it comes down to Superman, compared to like what we had in the Super Friends, when he had to like block a volcano with a boulder, right? Yeah. Or like even like when he does catch an airplane, you don't even see like the airplane kind of like stops its flight pattern and like kind of like does like little bounce thing and then goes right back to wherever Superman was flying.
And I'm absolutely like, contented with it.
I feel as if like when it came down to Superman, like I think in the animated series, like the first episode that he did was catch an airplane, right? And you see him kind of struggle with the and like with the speed of the airplane, and then kind of like not so much stop it full force, but kind of like as he slowed it down, he kind of allowed it. He kind of guided its descent, and not just push it right back up. So I had enjoyed that a little better.
Yeah, but you see, that's the other thing. See, in my Super Friends Superman, he never grunted. the modern Superman, they grunt.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I think that's what people are arguing, and that's why you said, why do we want another Superman? Why are we doing this again? I think it's hard to make a good Superman. Because, like, you can argue, like, you know, Christopher Reeve's absolutely amazing Superman, but also the idea of Superman, also the idea of heroics have changed so much. Like, who is he saving? What is he saving? And what does he stand for? As far as I know, Zack Snyder essentially made a lot of parallels to Superman just being Jesus. Like, because there's a lot of shit. And Superman is, like, more Jewish than anything. He was made by Jewish people.
You're hilarious.
That's exactly it.
He is. I'm not making a joke. I'm saying, like, he is, like, the parallels to him. Like, he's an immigrant. He's made by Jewish writers. Someone who's, but also trying to fit in a way where, like, they can feel alienated, but not in a way that people feel ostracized, that kind of thing. And making him, to me, stereotypical superhero that never has any problems, never struggles, like, it is. People always say this. It's hard sometimes to watch a film about someone just having a good time. You know what I mean? Like an hour and 45 minutes or something. Like, oh my God, this is great. I'm Superman. I got laser vision. You don't have laser vision? Oh my God, how do you make toast?
You know, like when he was stopping, when he was stopping the main bad in the Justice League movie, and he just flies right in. He's like, "Is this guy bothering you?" Just like. Yeah, not so much that it cut away from the entire film, but like it really just like, what was the point of the struggle? You know, if Superman himself can just stop in and just barricade the entire film.
That's interesting. I've never even. It's interesting how I always believe that even though we can see what he looks like, he kind of transcended to me as a kid any heritage of any sort. You know,
actually, that's the. I didn't cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
A question I have for you, because I have to rewatch the movies, but what were Superman's struggles in this Christopher Reeves Superman? Like, what was Superman's struggles in the?
What do you mean struggles?
So, like, what were the conflicts he had?
Oh, well, in the first Christopher Reeves. We're talking about
Christopher Reeves, or I guess even the animated ones, whatever you want to.
All right, yeah,
classic Superman.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So
Superman's 1, 2, and 3.
all right. You know what's interesting? I get a little confused when you talk about because there's a George Reeves, which was the black and white Superman on television. And it's Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeves is as early as I know.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah, in color, and quite frankly, the George Reeves one went from black and white to color.
Right.
As such it is. Anyway, but going to Christopher Reeves, one of the first struggles that we chuckled at was the beginning absence of the phone booth. So when he was changing, they showed at that point in modern times when it was doing.
I love how that's a struggle.
We had but what I'm saying is,
I can't find the closet.
No, but they
my life is so complicated.
No, but listen,
this man can move in a blink of an eye. You're telling me he has to take a beat to change clothes?
No. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. But I'm just telling you what they did. They actually made a pinpoint where he comes up against what was considered a half phone booth now, because there was no full go-in phone booth, and it's only a quick little thing, and he looks at it like, oh my gosh, I can't go in there. And that was, for that time, it was a modern phone booth.
That's so
where we don't see phone booths anymore. And I know what you mean by struggles.
No, I just didn't expect that answer. That's a good answer. I just didn't expect that.
Yeah, but I thought that was something that was, for me as a kid, that was poignant. Like because we still say, how is Superman going to change? Right. Because then later on, he started doing things that I didn't necessarily like. Because then it was things where he, fell out of a window and then changed magically.
What do you mean magically?
He didn't really, if I recall from the film. In other words, his clothes didn't go flying all over the place. He fell out the window and his suit was on.
Well, that
is a good question. Where did the clothes glow?
But, that's technically what we're arguing. That's the same thing as the plane thing. You're saying you don't like it, but that's theoretically, he's fast enough to put the clothes. Superman's fast enough to take a long stroll and consider what he's going to do to avail him before he punches him. He's not the Flash, because the Flash can go back in time. So this guy's...
but Superman went back in time.
And he was concerned about taking a beat to change in a telephone booth. That's all I'm saying.
I got it.
And technically, he didn't go back in time. He flown so fast that he reversed the spin of the Earth, so the Earth went back in time. Right. He stood where he was.
Yeah, that's not how time works.
He didn't stay
No. He went around, So he was a present day traveler, right? That caused the Earth to go back in time.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's not how.
So he landed present day yesterday.
Yeah.
I can understand how maybe first off, one of my favorite things. This is, I think
I'm being insulted, you guys know, in terms of my time going.
This is so far from the James Gunn trailer, but I will say one of my favorite things. There's legitimately, I think it's Justice League Doomsday animated Superman show, animated Justice League movie, and there's a classic situation. There's a kryptonite. There's a meteor going to hit Earth. It's a huge meteor. If it hits, it's going to destroy Earth. Normally, Superman could just push the meteor out of the way, but it happens to be a kryptonite meteor, so he can't touch the... So everyone's figuring out, how do we stop this meteor that's coming down to Earth? And Superman literally suggests, I could just push the Earth out the way, and Batman looks like, I can tell you so many reasons why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly that.
And the same thing, and that's not how time works. You can't just fly fast enough to rotate the Earth. I do get, it's fictional, but there's certain things that's just okay. If we balance it out, it becomes more fun to me, because Superman effectively killed so many people. Tidal waves, tornadoes, hurricanes,
earthquakes, tsunamis, all the above.
Gee whiz.
Anyways, back to James Gunn.
James Gunn.
I was going to say, what was the whole thing what did he throw at Zod?
Now you see that?
Plastic wrap.
Now I'm gonna tell you what.
Super plastic wrap.
Super saran wrap.
Super saran. Super saran.
I thought that was cool. I mean, it was like, They made me feel like, oh man, I didn't know he had that power. I've never seen
No one did. But that was the thing. Like Superman, it was an answer to so many problems. There was no problems for Superman. Yeah, he might have been slightly inconvenienced every once in a while, right? But like all the problems were like, okay, so like in the comic books, there was a point in time when he was actually able to, like he was going against aliens at one point in time, right? And I remember he was able to like manipulate his molecules and like mold his face.
Golden Age Superman.
Right, Golden Age Superman was able to mold his face by like manipulating his molecules to look just like an alien.
Right. Yeah.
And then just infiltrate their base. Right. I don't know how long he stayed with that face change for a while, but he had an answer to everything.
Well, he did. Well, there was actually, I don't know where I've seen it, but there's one version of Superman where, because you know how you make your muscles strong and something, whatever, he would make himself shorter as Clark Kent. And when his muscles was, he became Superman, so he was slightly taller.
Contracted his muscles or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So all this time, he's quite literally flexing at Superman.
Yeah, but he's like...
I could do this all day.
But here's the thing, you're seeing Clark Kent is like, how you doing, Clark? I'm okay. You're
just sucking it in the whole time.
Oh, he looks a constipated Clark Kent.
God.
Crazy. No wonder.
That was an alliteration.
Have a hard time having conversations at the time.
Say that 5 times real fast, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like...
Right. But we haven't talked about the trailer at all. Right, we have 4 minutes left. I'm just letting you know.
We got 4 minutes left?
Yeah, we were going off on a tangent. I love it.
Oh,
all right.
Wow.
But no. But okay, so there is a lot. I love the fact that they have Mr. Terrific on there, right? Because I would love to see more about that. And I'm interested in why they're bringing Guy Gardner into it, right? And they have Lex Luthor into it, right? I'm going to just do my quick little takeaways, right? There was always an interest in Superman and the dichotomy between the identity of Superman and Clark Kent, and how Clark Kent kind of shows to be kind of like, in my opinion, I've always was interested more in the introverted sides of Clark Kent, right? And how that is easily portrayed. Or I guess like I want to see more of that portrayal and how that becomes more of a true identity of Superman. Because he was raised as Clark Kent.
Yes.
Superman became what he is known for.
Yeah.
Right? And I always wanted to have like I am just an everyday man doing what I can with what I have.
And it seems like we're leaning into
and
that
I think
more.
we're leaning into that. So you guys can go ahead with that.
Okay, my only takeaway that a little disappointment. I love Crypto. Wasn't happy with the fur. Interesting because the Crypto that I grew up with was
Great Dane.
Was a Great Dane kind of looking.
It wasn't a Great Dane. It was just a
He was a sporty dog.
It was just, but he had no furry kind of.
Well, dogs have fur.
I know, but Crypto did not. He was a Kryptonian dog.
I mean, you were seeing a 2D animation that didn't go into detail. I'm just saying,
I know,
you just need lack of detail. That's what he's looking for.
Your turn. We only got a couple minutes left. Go ahead. You
The
go.
delivery of dogs have fur. It's crazy. That was hilarious.
I'm just saying. I will say that the Crypto that I'm used to was a little more of a sporty, maybe like a huntsman kind of dog. So I understand that. This is more of a beagle or kind of what is this?
I don't know.
Terrier?
To wrap it up, I would say I'm excited because we all reference there's a lot of characters that seems to be in this James Gunn Superman. However, remember James Gunn is the guy who also did Guardians of the Galaxy, and he did Suicide Squad. So he's really good with working with a lot of team dynamics and just like a lot of characters all at once. So I'm just excited to see what he does with this whole Superman thing. And we went off a tangent, so maybe we'll talk more about the actual trailer. But you know us, this is Various Fields signing out and going away. Goodbye.
Till next time, James Gunn.
I'll take care.